Hi, I am Katrina Roddy of Dream Forward University, and I am so excited today. The corporate breakup has a Dream University, and we are explaining things to business owners. Either you're new or you just want something explained to you. But I have a special guest today. Today, I'm excited to introduce Sherry Kirksy, the founder of the Art of Business Networking, with a background that spans both corporate life and her years working in as an independent contractor. Sherry discovered one powerful truth: success often comes down to how well you can connect with people. Networking became her superpower, and now she's turned that into a skill, into a business. Her very first event speaks volumes about her impact. Nearly 500 registered. Wait for this. And more than 100 showed up virtually to learn, to connect, and to grow with each other. Sherry is proof that when you combine experience and vision, you can create a platform that helps others build meaningful business relationships. Please join me in welcoming Sherry Kirksy, the powerhouse behind the Art of Business Networking. Welcome to the stage. Welcome to the stage, Sherry.
Oh, hello. Thank
How
you.
are
Thank you for
you?
having me.
Yes, thank you for being on my show. So it's really not a show because I'm not really a podcast host, but I thought it was so important to bring you on, interview you because you had a fabulous event, and I want people to know about it. Sherry and I have been friends for a while. We met through a networking kind of thing. I met the boss of this company. We both work for this company through networking. So networking is dear to me. Networking is very dear to Sherry, and we brought her on the show today just to talk about a little bit about herself, talk about the vision, and other things about the business, the art of business networking. Did I get it right?
You got it right. You got it right.
Art, the art of business network. And I have a disclaimer: my camera is going to move in and out without me touching it, so don't be alarmed.
Okay.
It's a setting. I don't even know how to take it off that setting. So, Sherry, let's start with just you introducing yourself before we jump into the vision. I'd like for you to just introduce yourself, talk about yourself a little bit, and give us some background before I jump into the vision of how this all started.
Okay. Well, as you've mentioned, I am Sherry Kirksy. And my background has pretty much been in corporate sales, insurance. That's how we met essentially through networking and through insurance. And as a result of being involved in sales and insurance, I was always looking to network, always looking for new people. Because remember in the old days when you started insurance, they would tell you to write a list of names of, 100 people of your family and friends that
Yeah,
will
that
never speak
yeah
to you again.
that didn't happen until later in my insurance career, but I understand 100%.
Well, so yeah, so then after you run out of those 100 people, guess what? You need to know more people. And then not only that, those 100 people are people that are dear to you, their family, their friends, their loved ones, but they may not have a specific need for what it is you're actually approaching them about.
It's true.
So I found that networking was my life source to always replenishing my pipeline, if you will, and just meeting new people. So over the years, I went to in-person networking events, virtual networking events. Of course, with COVID, everything went online and became virtual. Now things are opening back up, and there's like hybrids where you can do in-person and hybrid. But essentially, networking is where it's at if you're looking to meet someone you don't know.
It's very true. Very true. So about you went to hybrid, you went to in person. For our audience, do you recommend one versus the other, or what's the difference between those that you found with the engagement of people?
I think there's value in both. The in person events, obviously, again, harkening back to insurance, there was always value in meeting face to face,
Yeah.
whether it was selling a home model, life, and the kitchen table, or you're doing a large corporate account. You're taking someone to lunch or you're taking them out to a game or something. There's value in meeting in person. But there's the downside with meeting in person, I have found, is especially for people who are not as outgoing as maybe you are or I am, sometimes they'll just meet one person and
Yeah.
that's their entire comfort level and they just stay attached to that person all night long. And really, you want to just get out and mingle, meet people, keep it flowing. So there's value in meeting in person. There's a great connection. You can exchange business cards, although nowadays people are using QR codes and not even carrying business cards.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
Online, yeah, scanning systems. So there's value in that, but then there's also value in going online because you can meet people that are not in your immediate vicinity.
very true.
You can
Very
meet people in different countries. Now, again, depending on what your product is, if you're selling real estate locally, there may not be a lot of value in meeting someone in a different country or meeting someone in a different zip code, even, or a different neighborhood. But if you're selling a product that's online, a product that basically can go anywhere, and a lot of products and services now do have an online presence, the value in going online and virtual is that you just get a wider net and you can just meet more people. They're not just in your general vicinity.
Gotcha, gotcha. So another question I have before we jump into everything that I've planned. What do you think about? Give me your take on the most important part of networking. For me, it is the follow up. Like, don't just go to networking. Figure out how to follow up. Of course, what's your biggest thing that people should take away?
So that's a very good call out. I find that is the most important thing and the most difficult thing
Yeah,
because it's fun to go, it's fun to meet people, fun to collect the cards, but then the next day life moves on and your
yeah,
inbox is full, your phone is ringing, text messages, smoke signals, you have things coming at you from everywhere.
yeah,
So it's really important to have a systematic way of following up. Like back to the person that we met when we first connected. That
yeah,
person did old fashioned cards. I was always impressed by the fact that they would actually the very next day sit down, write a thank you card, and send that out. Well, I find that is the most important aspect of it, but you need to have a system in place before you go networking.
mhm.
Because if you think you're going to come back after a networking event and create a system, you'll just never make those connections.
Yeah. You miss
Because
out,
again,
right? You just missed out. Like, people are in fast pace. So anyway, but yeah, I think that's awesome to say. So okay, so let's get into it. You talked a little bit about some of these things that we are going to get into. We have about 7 topics we want you to talk about. So expand on them as long as you want. But the first one is you've touched on this, the vision. What inspired you to start the Art of Business Networking and turn your years of networking experience into an official platform?
that's a good question. I think it's because I'm a connector. So again, I mentioned insurance a lot, but I mean, I'm an insurance broker. So I didn't have just one company that I would work with and recommend someone. I would recommend someone the best fit, or even with investments, it's supposed to be about client suitability. So you're supposed to find out what that person needs and then match the best product to that person. And it's not about my needs, it's about their needs. So I was always meeting people and saying, oh, you know what? You need to meet Katrina. I mean, I've introduced you to several people, or you need to meet this person, or I met this person. A perfect example. I met a person at a networking event last month, and I had a great connection for her. I told her I had a great connection for her, but I was like, be sure to follow up with me because I can
Oh,
connect you with the person that's the president of this organization that will actually help you. She never followed up with me, and it wasn't a contact that was super beneficial for me, so I never reached out to her, so she missed that connection. So back to your point earlier, the follow up is so key. But
yeah.
the main reason I was inspired to do it is because I'm always connecting people, and I'm like, I'm
You
always
really are.
connecting people, so why not be an official people connector, if you will?
You really are. You really do a good job at that. Okay, so on to the next thing, which is that was a great segue into it. The launch. Your very
Woohoo!
first event had nearly 500 people register. What do you
Yeah, it
what do
was
you
pretty
think?
incredible.
What do you think drew so many people to this type of event? right away?
Well, I would love to say that it's my brilliance, but I do think that it's marketing,
Yeah.
being in the right place at the right time. There's just a number of things that come into play there. But
But
essentially,
going back to that, that is your brilliance though, because I truly believe that marketing starts with the message. So if your message was not clear, they would not have joined. So it is your brilliance. But carry on.
well, thank you. Thank you. There is, and there was a similar event as well that's held on a regular basis. So I'm like, it was humbling but exciting. Well, so there were a total of 587 people that registered for the event,
That's
which
amazing.
was it just blew me away because it was my initial event, my very first launch, and honestly, I hate to even admit this, but I was hoping for 50 people to register, and for like, if 20 people showed up, I was going to be like, yay, somebody will listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
So it really was just, it blew me away. The
The
response
registration.
was more than I could have ever hoped for. Yeah. And then to have over 100 people attend and over 20, over, it was probably like 50 or 60 women who registered from more than 20 different countries.
Yeah.
So it was just an amazing, it was a global event. My very first event was global and it was very well received. So yeah, super
Yeah.
exciting.
So that experience is crazy. I mean, I joined. I had the opportunity to do some speed networking in the groups, and there were young people, there were people who had been in the business for a minute, just kind of looking to network. There were people who were shy about networking, and this actually helped them connect. They were using it as a platform to practice their networking before they got out into the real world. I thought it was fabulous just because there was different aspects of why people was joining, and that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. So the value. Let's talk about the value. What was the biggest aha moment for you, and the moment from your attendees during the event?
I think it was the three keys to business because that's what I've gotten the most feedback on. Someone wrote me a glowing review on LinkedIn talking about how much value she got out of it. But essentially, it's the three keys of business, which is the first thing is finding your ideal client. Because at the end of the day, if you're selling a product or service, you're trying to find the person that wants that product or service. I'll give you an example. If you're selling diapers, you're probably looking for someone that has a baby or maybe someone who's elderly. I don't know. But the point is that you
Whoever
are
has
looking
diapers, whoever needs, there's a need there.
exactly. You're looking for your that ideal client. So if you're selling items for children, you're looking for parents. If you're selling items for sporting events, you're looking for someone who's involved in that sporting event. So you're looking for that ideal client, and everyone is looking for their ideal client. I read an article recently about Amazon. And the person that worked at Amazon, she worked there like 14 years, and she was saying that Amazon wanted to be that company where when you thought of something, Amazon is what you thought of. So number one is ideal client. Number two is, and I'm still talking about the three keys to the business. So number
Mhm.
one is it's your ideal client. And then what is your irresistible offer? What are you going to offer them that they can't refuse? Amazon, overnight delivery, same day delivery, free, no shipping cost. Used to be back in
Yeah.
the old days, no taxes either, but
Yeah.
the
This is
IRS
the
caught up.
value. Yeah. This is the value. Yeah. Go
And
ahead.
then the third key is give and over deliver. So those are really the three keys. Who is your ideal client? What is your irresistible offer? And then you want to give and over deliver.
Got it. All right. So let's move on to the lesson. What surprised you, either planning it or just surprised you from your audience engagement during the event? Is there,
So
if anything, maybe nothing surprised you, but I'm sure there was some things that popped up because you didn't expect 500 registrations. You didn't
I
expect
certainly did not.
over 100 people. So what surprised you outside of that? What lesson did you learn? What surprised you?
Well, okay. The first thing is that yes, so many people chose to, out of their busy day, chose to spend time with moi. That was great and very humbling. I was very grateful for that. But then it was the meeting after the meeting. People hung out after
Mm.
the event was over
And
and
how
kept
long? Wait, how
connecting.
long was the event? Was
So
it
the
an
event was an
hour?
hour. It was like
Okay.
it was a power hour. It was a
Okay.
power hour. And it's essentially geared towards female business owners and entrepreneurs. Although guys are welcome, anyone who has a business who wants to attend, it's welcome. But I'm focused on female business owners, and generally those would be business owners that are startups, coaches, people that are really just getting their businesses up and running and trying to scale it to that next level. But it was the meeting after the meeting. It surprised me that not only did people want to hang out with me, they wanted to stay and chat after the fact. So we had a meeting after the meeting, and I've actually added that segment to the next upcoming meeting
Okay.
because as you know, it was a power packed 1 hour, and it was speed networking. It was people chatting. It was me talking. There was a lot going on, and so the meeting after the meeting is kind of like a party. You know how you throw a party and then
It's
you're
the
like,
after party.
okay,
After the show is the
everybody,
after party. Yeah.
great. You can, thanks for coming. But then you always have that group of people that
Yeah.
hang out, have a couple of drinks or whatever, and just chill and just chat.
So you mentioned it. So your networking event online was a speed networking event. What is that?
So speed networking, it's networking on steroids, I would have to say. So what it is that again, when you're talking about networking, it sounds very corny and very canned, but you should have a 30-second elevator pitch. You should be able to tell people what you do in a very concise, succinct way, and hopefully in under 30 seconds. And then you should make them maybe a little curious and want to know more. So oftentimes when you ask a person what they do, or they go, oh, now I'm a talker, obviously, as you can tell, but still, people just go on and on and on about what they do, what it is and then you're like, I'm out of time. Thanks. My elevator has gotten to my floor. Thank you. So with speed networking, it's all about making the connection very quickly. It's a timed event, typically between 5 minutes and 10 minutes. And so we did breakout rooms at my event. We did
Okay.
breakout rooms of 3 or 4 people. And then you tell me what happened in the breakout room once you got there.
There's a party in the breakout room. No, because I'm used to networking, I kind of led the breakout room, so to speak, just so it wouldn't be so quiet. So what I learned is that maybe there were new people who were coming to networking, and they would come to the room and just be like, day by day, oh dear Lord. So I would strike the conversation and say, "Hey, how was your last room? What did you do in your last room? Just to have that conversation, just making it fun because people are really nervous. I'm fortunate not to be that nervous in these rooms. I'm like, we're on screen. You don't even know me, but we can
Right.
we can have that conversation. But in the breakout rooms, people just kind of opened up to who they are. There was a time limit, so everyone has to take their turn, and then you just started exchanging numbers. You started learning about other people's businesses and do they want to exchange with you. It was a true networking. I think at one point there was only one person in my networking room, so it was just she and I just making that conversation together. And then I had up to 5 people in there at one time. And so all of us were kind of talking and, kind of going through the motion of who does what, how can we connect? Because there was so many people on there, I think the networking rooms were perfect because you get the opportunity to chat with a person. They weren't too big. And I don't know if you strategically had them that small so that we had the opportunity to connect. And it's not like, I'm just going to say my name and then that's it. We actually had the opportunity to hear each other's story, to hear what we were. Some people had questions like, how do I speak to people in the chat? or so for me, I understood how to do that, so I shared that information. And then some other young lady was sharing the information about, like, if you do this in here, you do, we actually exchanged information, and then we shared information. So it was good. It was very good and curated to a point where we all felt heard. We all felt like we could connect later, and we all felt like we want to come to the next one.
Well, that's great to hear because my next one is coming up. But that was my ask, though, because
Okay.
again, back to your question earlier about either in person or online, it's the follow up. So you're not going to connect with everyone that you meet at a networking event because they're just sometimes the industries just don't align and the services don't align. But
Correct.
my ask was that everyone try and find at least one person that they could connect with and have a follow up virtual coffee, or if you're
Yep.
local in person, it's unlikely that you'll be local.
Yeah.
But just to have that one follow up where you can just keep the conversation going and get deeper into that conversation and see if there's value there.
Yeah, that was good. So moving into the growth. So if we talked about growth, now that you've had such a strong start, what's next? Like, where do you see this going?
So, good question. And so, at this point, I am looking to, again, back to the three keys of business. I'm looking for to deliver value to the people who want to show up and listen to what I have to say. I believe a lot of that value doesn't really come from me. I think it comes from the other attendees.
Yeah.
So it's you guys, the people that show up networking with each other and finding out people that can help them, possibly finding out who their ideal client is. I will say this at a networking event, one of the number one rules is don't try and sell anything. It's not a sales event, it's just a meet and greet. It's very off putting if you show up at an event with commission breath and you're
What
trying
is
to
it?
sell
What is it
something.
called? What is it called?
Commission breath.
I've never heard that in my life, but I get it. I
It's
get
not
it.
a good look. So
Yeah.
just the goal is to meet someone because chances are you're not going to meet your ideal customer at that event either. But you can
Yeah.
meet if you actually have an authentic connection, which that's really the whole point is authentic connections, is
Yeah.
to have an authentic connection and then that person can lead you to your ideal client.
So I always say networking is not for you. It is for you to meet someone and give them information. Once you
That's
give
it.
them information, you may not even, they may not even be your client, but if you've given them information, they can be so valuable to you because now they're referring you to people. Now they're looking and saying, hey, I met this person at a networking event. She's not for me, but maybe they're for another person. So if you go into it with that idea of how do I introduce myself so that I become a resource to that person? Not help, but how
Exactly.
can I be a resource to that person? Um, it makes a huge difference, a huge difference. So yeah, I like that. I like that. What about what advice do you have for people either starting a networking group, being part of a networking, just any advice you have for those networkers?
I would say I have a couple of pieces of advice. And the first thing is just put yourself out there. That's
Mhm.
the first thing. Put yourself out there because, as I mentioned at my event, no matter how many people you know, there are still more people that you don't know than you do know. So you just never know who's out there. And also, networking is not just for people who are outgoing and people who are the life of the party. If you feel like you're a person who's somewhat shy or an introvert, networking is for you as well. And you don't have to network like Katrina Roddy would network or network the way Sherry Kirksy would network,
Yeah.
but you should still put yourself out there and just start with, a small in-person networking meeting. And then I would say if you're going to do a virtual networking event, it's best if you have your camera on. Some people are just so shy and they're just so overwhelmed by the whole thing they don't
Yeah.
have their camera on. But I would say my advice is just put yourself out there and give it a shot if you're looking to grow your business and you're looking to scale and take
Yeah.
that next step.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Well, Sherry.
Wait, our
Thank
time,
you.
it's
Thank
over? This is it?
Yeah, we could, we talk for hours always. So, Sherry, thank you so much for sharing your journey and giving us an inside look on the art of business networking. Um, this is something that I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy highlighting entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur coach, I just want to see everybody win. And we all have to start somewhere. And when we do start somewhere and we are glorified for that, it just gives us inspiration to keep going. So I definitely do my best in trying to push us out there. Now I will let you share your call to action. What do you want people to do? What's your call to action from them seeing this video?
Well, my call to action is, again, if you're growing your business, if you are a business owner or a purpose driven person, come to my next networking event, which is going to be on October 14th, 6
Okay.
p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay. Very good. And for those of you who want to keep the conversation going with me, make sure that you connect to my community. It's called School. You can get all of that information on my website at thecorporatebreakup.com. Thecorporatebreakup.com, where you'll find Dream Forward University and anything connected to it. But in the meantime, don't forget to go to this networking event. It's just not the same. It is on October 16th, correct?
October 14th, Tuesday, October 14th.
Tuesday, October 14th. It is one of the best networking events that I've been to. You want to be interactive at them, and Sherry does a good job moderating. She does a great job moderating. She's fun, but it just makes you feel comfortable, and I think that's what people need. They want to come to something because, again, as I mentioned, a lot of people were just testing it out. They wanted to try it out. They want to practice at these type of networking events, and if you can come to one that makes you feel comfortable, it definitely will be Sherry's.
Connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll give you all the details.
Yay! Connect with her on LinkedIn and she'll give you all the details. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching and listening today. Please make comments, and then also, again, see Sherry on the 14th on Tuesday. So goodbye and good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.